I just felt broke and stressed out all the time. I didn't know what to do. I was a single mom in Seattle on my own, on welfare, trying to just not live in my car. And as the economy gets more difficult and things become more expensive, I think it's even more important for us we're just one decision or one thought away from.
Hey, welcome back, Passive Investor. We've got another episode of Passive Income Adventures coming to you from Juno, Alaska, with Joanne Schmidt here today. Thanks for joining us, Joanne. Joanne's a local investor. I've known you maybe like 5 or 6 years. We're working on like apartments, acquisition opportunities, the RV parks, things like that. So I think I met you online, like Facebook and LinkedIn, and then we didn't meet in person until we got up here to live here this summer, and we were renting out your house. And so I feel like your story is so much in line with our listeners' story when they're trying to figure out, like, how do I do this passive income thing? How much involved do I want to get in real estate? You and I have both chosen to be real estate entrepreneurs, whereas a lot of our investors have another career or passion that they're doing and then passively investing. But the same thing, we're both having to passively invest as well as have some sort of active pursuit to keep us busy. And so I think that story really reflects in you, your portfolio, your business, like your lifestyle and what it's all about. So I'll kick us off by just introducing yourself and telling the story about how you got started and then kind of where you are today, summary, and then we'll dive into your history and your future a little bit more.
Okay, great. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Joanne Schmidt. I grew up in Juno, Alaska. I moved out of town about 1.5 years ago, and I'm currently living in my campground in Denali, which is actually quite fun. I get paid to camp for a living. No, but seriously, I grew up in Alaska with parents who had W-2 jobs. My mom was an office manager in some of the local doctor's offices. My dad worked for the state and was telecommunications person. So I was taught early on that, perhaps the best thing I could do for myself was to go get a state job. And that's what I did. I started working for
stable government job.
Exactly.
Get a degree, get a stable job.
Yes.
Yeah. They'll take care of you. Pensions, all that.
Yeah. So I started actually, like a lot of people here, working for the state in high school. And, we're a resource extraction state, oil being, previously one of the biggest resources here. And so there was a lot of money. Lots of money. So I started working for the state, moved out of town for a brief time and went to college in Seattle, and then came back and became a single parent at a very young age. I had my first child when I was 20. And so that was a struggle for a long time. I was a single mom for about 8 years. Moved back home in 96, got married shortly thereafter. I met my husband, Austin. We've been married 29 years. And maybe 1.5 years after that, finished my college degree.
Okay.
Within 2 years of being married, Austin and I had 2 kids. So that ended up being, we were a family of 6 at this point. By 1999, we were a family of 6. I had a hardworking husband, a college degree, a good job, but I just felt broke and stressed out all the time. I didn't know what to do. I had been interested in real estate since I was a young woman, but had no idea how I could possibly pull anything like that off. That was something that people did when they had money. And I certainly had never had any, maybe enough to pay my bills and sometimes not, so the struggle was very, very real, a lot of anxiety about that. And I, mostly had 2 jobs for so many years. I decided, I don't even remember when or how, that I was going to buy an apartment building.
Okay.
And this was in.
And that's the interesting thing. You're like, I was always interested in real estate. I decided I was going to buy an apartment building. Like, who did you know, or whether they were a personal acquaintance, somebody you saw on the news, or just a community member? Like, who was it that you were like, wait, what? Like, they're wealthy or they don't seem stressed out about money. What are they doing? And that you decided like real estate was a path or that owning an apartment building was even possible for regular people. Where did those ideas come from? Because you just said you don't know. But if we think about it, like, where would you guess that came from?
I know that there were people in my community close to my age who were clearly more successful than I. They had the financial freedom that I did not. They had nicer houses, nicer cars. We lived in a tiny little house.
Better
with 4 kids.
vacations. Yeah.
We couldn't even take vacations, and I saw the moves that they were making. And I thought, well, you know what? They're not any smarter than me. If they can figure it out, I can, by God. And so I was too young and too dumb to be scared at that point. And just, probably a little bit desperate. I'd been a single mom for a really long time, and that, had put some pretty deep scratches in my soul.
Yeah.
Was on public assistance even in Seattle for a couple of years. And things were very, very hard. So it was 2003, and that was right before our first big, fabulous, it was a tech bubble, I think. And
we saw a little bit of a decline in 2003, which is why we sold a house when we bought a new house, because the new house was down in value a little.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, well, if the house's values are down 10%, my little house is going to be down a lot less than the big house is. So I was like, I'm just going to take the loss right now. I'm going to sell for as high as I can. Right. We've been in it for 5 years. And so it had gone up in value, but it had come back a little, fallen off that peak. And I was like, now's the time. So we went and bought the bigger house. So I remember 2003 was a little bit of a fall off, but by 2004, things were on the market for
things blew
3
up.
days. It was crazy.
So we had this, our first home that we had bought together, we paid $159,000 for it, this little 3-bedroom little box. I think it was 1,100 square feet, and we were all packed in there.
That sounds like ridiculous.
Yeah. It was just, it was great for kids, whatever. But so we did a cash out refinance, and I think it cost probably $12,000 to buy this 4-plex for $290,000 in kind of a rough area, but that's where it all started.
Was that here in Juno?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down on Delta Drive, famous Delta Drive.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was at the very end of Delta Drive. It was kind of known as like a druggy neighborhood.
Okay.
But our house was at the very end and kind of set back a little bit away from the others. And then just, kind of figuring it out as we went, we started turning the units, turning the tenants, having a presence there, and started creating value. And what was really exciting to me at the time was that I had a coin-operated washer and dryer in the bottom, and I was able to get quarters every month, like $100, $100 to $130 in quarters, and I would keep it in a Folgers coffee can behind my seat in my car. I wouldn't put it in the bank, and I know that made my husband mad. But I would take that money and I would give my kids lunch money, or back then $130 went really far for me. I was a young mom trying to figure out how to buy soccer shoes. But that's when it clicked for me. It's like, if I can do this, anybody can. Because I really hadn't sought out any resources, if you will, to scale up and learn how to be an investor. I hadn't really read books.
But you had a 4-plex.
Didn't have a coach, but I bought a 4-plex. So
did you find that through a local realtor, or what was your deal source for that?
I don't even remember. I think I might have seen it advertised in the newspaper, and I didn't know if I could do it or not, but I just, I knew I had to do something different, because doing the same thing and expecting a different result for the next 25 years of my life scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Well, but also at the same time, though, you hear people say things like, 2008 hadn't happened yet. So you weren't hearing people say things like, I lost everything in 2008. But that's what I was hearing when I first started. We had our personal homes, but we didn't own any investment property. And I think I bought my first rental house in 2018. So, I mean, it was watching real estate through a personal lens. But I was hearing everybody like, oh, this cycle's already 10 years old. 2008, I lost everything. It's about to happen again. And so I was getting a lot of naysayers, even inside the investor community, because they were all starting to get nervous, like this bubble's going to burst, everything.
Yep.
But you back then in 2003, you said it was, like you weren't hearing, like, I lost everything in 2008. And so you weren't having the same kind of like, well, what if these numbers don't work? Or what if
I was hearing that a lot, actually. My mom and my dad and my husband were not supportive of this idea at all. They said, you can't do this. You can't do this. You should not do this. You're going to lose everything. So I didn't have that support. I didn't have that encouragement. And quite frankly, I wasn't even sure if I could trust myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, I didn't know how to run numbers on a spreadsheet. The first apartment building I bought, he gave me like a piece of paper with like 4 expenses written on it in pencil. I was like, this is no way this is accurate, but I don't know what to to do. And so I was just using rules of thumb and simple things and learning and trying to build the financials of this thing where I had no idea how to do a financial analysis, had to find a partner who knew how to do it. So I could feel confident that this was actually a good deal, because I was like, it looks like a good deal. I don't know. There was all of that inexperience and nervousness. That how did you handle that part of it? Because I think what holds people back, the financial risk that holds people back, is that they don't know how to run the numbers. A lot of people, it's construction. They don't know anything about houses or pipes or concrete or anything like that. But if you had more of that construction background with your husband, so you probably felt more confident on that side of things. But talk to me about the financial risk that you were taking, because you're like, I don't know. I don't know if this is a good deal or not. I don't know if this is going to cash flow. Like, how did you kind of figure that out?
Well, fortunately, through all the money I spent for that college degree, it taught me how to be a critical thinker, to be an information seeker, to figure out how to figure it out, And so my husband and I really had to align ourselves in a different way. And it was very hard for a long time because we didn't know what we didn't know. Margins were skinny, and we had to figure out how to get the money to do the improvements, how to negotiate rental increases, because there's always pushback, how to find the right tenants. And early on, I just wanted to be nice. I want to help people. And so I think that there was a lot of mistaking kindness for weakness, and I got taken advantage of. Had some bad tenants, but mostly it was a really valuable experience. And one of the things that resonated with me was that I was able to be in a position to help people, like people coming out of treatment, young families, college students needing a place to live. And it wasn't very long before that I was a single mom in Seattle on my own, on welfare, trying to just not live in my car.
Yes.
And I'll never forget what that was like. So to be able to have scaled up in that tiny little way was so impactful to me.
Yeah. Did it make you more afraid to lose everything or less? Because I remember when in business school, we did a case study on the founder of Burt's Bees, and she had twins and lived in her car as a waitress. And when she had to move the factory down to somewhere in the Carolinas, she was very nervous. It was a big undertaking, millions of dollars. And she was very nervous that she was going to lose it all. And she was like, you know what? I'd already lived in my car. And I knew that I could come back from that because I had already done it. And I knew if I had to, I would do it again. And so she was like, you know what? So what if we lose everything? I'll just go back to that and then we'll crawl out of it. Whereas some people are like so impacted by not having that when they do have, they become very anxious over not losing everything again. So how did that mentally affect you, having that experience in your background, trying not to live in your car as a single mom?
I think that there was some fear, certainly, because as my life expanded, there was more to lose. But I really understood that the worst that could happen to me had probably already happened. And I had to become a different person to be able to rise up to the challenge of being an investor and trusting in myself, and always engaging in personal development to learn more and do more and be more.
Yeah, and just kind of getting over that scarcity mindset. I think the scarcity mindset has protected me from over that toxic optimism where you're like, oh, I'm sure he's trustworthy. Let me just invest with him. Like there's a lot of scarcity mindset that does protect us from making stupid decisions or careless, throwing money around kinds of decisions. So I don't want to talk about scarcity mindset like it's a terrible, bad thing all the time. But it does have to be definitely balanced with an abundance mindset and figuring out how much that push and pull. That's why it's so hard, is because it's not all one or all the other. It's the balance that's tricky. So what did you end up settling on when you're like, I'm going to do this, we're doing it, it's working? And did you end up losing that fear of losing everything? Or was it always kind of that whole project? Was it still dogging you? Did you have to keep working on that? Or was it not something you had to really work through at all? Did it just kind of come naturally when you saw that it was working?
Well, I think that there was definitely a learning curve for me, and I didn't always do it right. And there were times that we really, struggled for money, even though we had an investment property. I had to learn on
That's
my
when
own.
the real struggle for money starts, is when you start buying properties. You're like, oh my goodness, I need 4 roofs instead of just 1. Yeah. It can get tight.
Yep. There's no greater teacher than life experience. And having a lot of failures, I failed a lot, and every time, those are the lessons that hit home the most, when you really fail and it's all on you.
Yeah.
So, and I think personally for me, it wasn't a difference between or trying to find the balance between a scarcity and an abundance mindset, but really developing a discriminating mindset where I really could measure the risks and the rewards and not an emotional way, and developing that abundance mindset, understanding what was possible for me, you know?
Yeah.
And that first deal taught me that my own self-doubt really held me back. And there was so much power in believing in myself and stepping outside of my comfort zone and trying something different.
Yeah.
And that I could make something happen.
Okay. Yeah. Well, your story and my story align in ways where we were not high income earners either. I was mostly a stay-at-home mom, like a side hustle queen, photography, graphic design, taught piano lessons, like things, any way that I could kind of scratch something together. And every time my husband got laid off, it was like, what are we going to do? And so I chose to start a real estate business because I didn't have a high paid profession like being an engineer or physician or something like an entrepreneur in another business that had taken off. Like I didn't have anything like that. And so for me, it was like, I need to make more money. Whereas a lot of our investors are making good money at their careers and their professions, and they're looking to invest it passively. But you have to make the money first. You buy passive income with money. And so I looked at it as like, I've got to make some money. And I put my highest and best use of my time to make the most I can. I was a real estate photographer. So for me, it was kind of like, I was spending time with investors and things like that. So I was kind of like, I think I should be on the other side of the camera, right? That's kind of where it started for me. But at the same time, I just feel like a lot of our listeners are going to be like, well, I don't want to start a real estate business. I don't want to have a fourplex. I don't want to have all that stress. I have a great job. I make good money. Both partners are making good money. I just need to figure out how to invest it. But how can they figure out how to invest it? They've never had a rental house. How are they supposed to know if this is a good deal when they haven't ever done anything like this before? And I feel like real estate kind of, because everybody owns a home and most of us own maybe one or two rentals at some point along the way, we feel like we have to do it ourselves. Whereas like say oil and gas, I'm never going to go drill an oil well ever. And I'm just going to learn about other people who are good at it and I'm going to invest with them. But there's something about real estate that people feel like they can't trust other people to do it. Whereas in oil and gas or gold exploration, these other things you're talking about, there's no way we would try to do that ourselves. So I mean, kind of talk about that a little bit with maybe some of your investors of what you're seeing with the DIY real estate versus like nobody's DIYing an oil well.
Well, first of all, it's not necessarily passive income for most of us, not in the beginning.
No, it's a business.
And what's also interesting is we won't trust ourselves, but we'll trust somebody else we hardly even know, which is interesting. I think that my husband did have that mindset. Why would I need to invest in real estate when I could make money this way? But he was also 7 years younger than me. And, it's easy to think that way when you're 30.
Yeah.
But how about when you're 45 and you've been working 30 years and you're still trying to raise your kids, or they have, just left the house and, you're pushing, 50, maybe a little bit over that. Start to get a little bit tired, and in addition to that, we trade a lot of our time for money. And time goes by so fast.
Well, we had friends who had catastrophic events, like later in life divorces, serious illnesses, injuries, or a child had a serious illness or injury, and it impacted their abilities to work. And the older you get, the more of those stories you start to see from your own friends and people your age or your siblings' friends. You're like, oh, well, this happened to so-and-so or that happened to so-and-so. And I became very aware that we were walking on a very thin foundation, because if any of those things had happened to us, we would have been in big trouble. And so that was my motivation to just beef that up. So if we needed to stop working or even cut back for a while, that we could. And in the years following that decision, we've had in both sides of our family some pretty catastrophic events with injuries and illness and death. And it continually reaffirmed that we're on the right path. So when you're seeing some of your friends, probably you have some stories that you don't need to tell, but just some stories of things that you're like, wait a second, I'm 45 or I'm approaching 50 and this other 50-year-old is now incapacitated. And what would happen if that happened to me? I don't know. Did you ever think about that kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I worked in the nonprofit sector for about 10 years. So very low wages, no retirement. And I just really felt like I wasn't making any progress forward. In fact, I was going backwards in life because as I was getting older, I didn't have enough savings to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. I did have my first income property, but it was just such a struggle. And I really needed a safety net. I needed a safety net for myself. I wanted to create some sort of legacy for my children. I really wanted to have the ability to perhaps help my parents. So I knew I had to do things differently. Um, and just, getting older and having done nothing with my life scared me to death.
Oh, like that
Absolutely scared me
fulfillment.
to death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I guess I haven't spent much time thinking about that type of fulfillment, uh, or even a legacy for my kids, because
Mhm.
it's very much like power of now type of thing. Like,
Mhm.
am I having a good time right now? And it's
Mhm.
not hedonistic. It's more like, how do I ensure, if I'm having a good time right now, how do I ensure that future me will still be having a good time?
Mhm.
And so it's more about living life to the fullest, but I don't really care about building something that
Mhm.
people are going to remember after I die, or that
Mhm.
my kids will be
Mhm.
spared the struggle because the struggle is
Yep.
valuable. So for
Yep.
me, it's a little bit of a different motivation.
Mhm.
Um, do you think that way as well, as the legacy for your kids, or that fulfillment that you did something important in life, like
Mhm.
extra, or does that, because for some people it's a core driver?
Mhm. I think that was just part of my motivation, and I
Mhm.
knew that I would be able to focus on that later. But that was, always something that was important to me, and
Mhm.
I knew that real estate would allow me to make decisions like that, not only for myself, but I could start making decisions for other people.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To be
Like a
a
positive
resource
impact.
for other
Mhm.
people. You know what I mean? Uh, but certainly, I kept coming back to the sad fact that I was trading my time for money.
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of time for myself. My husband and I didn't have a lot of time for each other. So, what did that really mean about the quality of our life? It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter how much money you have if you're just living to work.
Yeah. Especially
So,
if you are in a position, sorry, if you really, really, really love your job,
mhm,
that's different. But if the job is a tool to get an ends, you're like looking for some
mhm,
fulfillment in your job to feel like you're doing something important. But at the same time, it's like, would you still
mhm,
be doing it if you didn't need the money? And
mhm,
you're kind of always bumping up against that.
mhm,
You don't know if you would
mhm,
keep doing it if you didn't need the money, because you've never been in a position to really ask that
mhm,
question, or to find the answers to that. So
mhm.
sorry. Well,
Well, I've always been somewhat of an altruistic person, and I think that that's why I was drawn to, working for nonprofits for many
Mhm.
years, working in behavioral health, working with people in recovery. I'm a person in recovery myself. Uh, I thought that I would stay in that job even when I didn't need to anymore. But I also had a date. I had a date and a dollar amount,
Okay.
and I thought I would make it to 20 years with my government job. I figured if I had a certain amount of money in retirement, then I would pull the plug. And then just through a series of events, I ended up pulling the plug 2 years early.
Oh, you gave up a pension,
I I
or
still have my
partial,
pension.
or
I
okay.
still have a good pension,
Okay.
uh, but I don't have that nice big check anymore. And
Mhm.
that was it took a bit of getting used to.
It's a big pay cut when you leave
It's a
a
huge pay
job.
cut. It's a
Mhm.
huge pay cut, but I had also learned how to live simply and with not very
Mhm.
much money
Yeah.
for a long, long time. And so that training, if you will, that life training really stuck with me. So even when my wages over time went
Mhm.
up and I had more discretionary income, I wasn't spending it freely. I was paying off my bills. I was trying to live without debt, gave up vice, gave up, spending my money on uh, foolish things, and really started pouring it back into myself and my
Mhm.
family, really engaging in more personal development so that I could uh, be the best version of myself. And when I really started getting serious about that, my investing really skyrocketed.
Okay.
So, about a month and a half after I quit my job in March of 2023, I got the RV park up in Denali under contract.
Yes. So you're like
I cried for about a
motivated.
month.
Yeah.
And then, sitting in this very condo here, questioning my life, what am I going to do next? I called that lady up and asked her if she wanted to sell her property. And she said yes. And here we are.
Yeah. It's kind of just an interesting thing, because I feel like I don't need everything to be happy. But that journey that you're talking about is you're discovering what makes you happy and getting
Mm-hmm.
really targeted
Mm-hmm.
with those high value rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different for everybody. You have to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what it is,
Mhm.
right? But for me, it's watching my kids do interesting things.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I'm the kind of person,
Mhm.
I'm the mom, the kids are in gymnastics lessons or something, and I'm
Mhm.
watching behind the big glass, and I'm just
Mhm.
like on the edge. And the
Yeah.
other moms want to chat, and I'm like, I gotta watch my kid do
Yeah.
something cool. So for me, like I love taking them places, I love doing things, and that brings me so much joy and fulfillment, whether I'm watching or participating. I'm open
Mhm.
either way. I'm more participating because my kids are kind of homebodies, so I'm kind
Yeah.
of leading that. But just discovering like that is what really lights me up means
Yeah.
that I can pour all of my financial and time resources into very, very few things that give me an
Mhm.
outsized reward. And the things I don't care about as much don't get time
Mhm.
or financial attention.
Yep.
And once you identify what those are, you can really lean into it. It's the same thing with like the strengths finding,
Mhm.
where lean into your strengths for outsized rewards rather than always chasing your weaknesses. And to me, it's like pouring money at everything. You're
Mhm.
not finding fulfillment in any one
Yeah.
thing or any small set of
Mhm.
things. So for you, what does that look like when you're like, hey, I don't need all the things. I can live frugally, but
Call. Sorry about that.
you're good. Pause. Okay.
So,
So let me back up here. So for you, when you were like, I can live frugally, I don't need all the things. What were the things that you narrowed into that you were like, this really makes me happy. This is where I want my financial and time attention to go.
oh my God, I felt I got my first pedicure, I think, when I was probably 35. And
Yeah.
that was such a luxury to me. And being able to buy nice shampoo, you know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
little things like that.
Little
We're
splurges.
like, wow, I might not be struggling so much anymore. I thought for the longest time that people who owned Toyota 4Runners were rich. And my idea of success was just it was skewed. Uh, it was just based on material things, you know. But when I
Mm-hmm.
was able to not be stressed out and working all the time and be present with my kids, take them to sports, teach them that they can be independent people,
Okay.
that had so
Yes.
much value for
Yes.
me. Being able to take trips with my husband, you know, uh, not always working. I had worked 2 jobs for almost 40 years, and it was exhausting.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, even if we had money, we were too tired to do anything with
That's
it.
a good point. That's a good point. I'm struggling with that a little bit this summer myself because we're
Mhm,
working
mhm,
and I don't feel like we have to be working. So there's that stress off of it. But we have some financial goals. So we're trying to
mhm,
pay cash for a house. And so we're
mhm,
just because we can't get a mortgage anymore.
mhm,
And we want to buy like our legacy home, the grandparent
mhm.
home, the ranch, whatever it ends up being. We're
Yeah.
not sure yet. But I'm just like, we're just gotta sock away some money and so that
Mhm,
we can pay cash for this dream. I find that it's really important to have a goal after retirement because
mhm,
I'm even kind of retiring from the real estate business a little
mhm,
bit, becoming more on the passive side,
mhm,
relying more on partners. And so I feel like I needed something to do actively to keep my
mhm,
mind engaged and it's not the job. Like the job is not so much what's keeping me engaged. It's more like I have this goal of this property that I want to buy, and I think I probably have to be ready to pay cash for it. 'Cause you can't count
mhm,
on perfect property having seller financing or things like
mhm,
that. So we're just like getting ready to pay cash for it. And what I found is because this goal is so burning to this property that sometimes I'm finding that I'm like working too much,
mhm,
or that when we're not working, I'm like I'm too tired. We could go get in a helicopter for free right now, but
mhm,
I need to sleep
mhm,
in. Well, yeah, I'm kind of because I've never really had a job before. I've always been
mhm,
this stay-at-home mom, side
mhm,
hustle mom, part-time real estate investor. Like this is the first time I've ever worked full-time. It's my first W-2. And I think on in some levels, like that's super good for me because it's very different and it's really challenging a
mhm,
lot about what I thought I knew about myself and all of these things. So it's been positive from that experience. But it's also given me an insight into the times where you're just too tired to do
mhm.
anything, even if you could afford it,
Yep.
that you're just like, you're going to force yourself to go
Mhm,
do stuff. And that was what has been powerful for me. It's like, man, I don't want to live years and years of my life this way. It's
mhm,
fun to play house for the summer
mhm,
doing it, but um, it's really reinforced the power of passive income and the power
mhm.
of time freedom. Now I'm choosing to spend my time this way because I have a goal.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little bit different. But oh boy, yeah, it's real. It's for real. Just being like, what do you want to do today? Sleep. I don't know. How are
And
you handling right now? Because you're so busy in Denali.
no, I'm here.
Oh, that's true.
And that's the wonderful thing about owning a business, and if it's set up correctly and your operation, your systems and processes are dialed in, then you don't need to be there. You're either working for your business or on your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think just about everybody knows the Warren Buffett quote: if you're not making money while you're sleeping, then you're doing it wrong. And that really resonated with me when it was probably 4 years after buying that fourplex when I really started being able to take some of that passive income and buy things for my kids, or start going out to dinner a couple times a month with my husband. Little things like that meant all the difference in the world, because I hadn't had any of that for my adult life.
Yeah.
And so a couple years ago I bought a house in Tucson. I never thought in a million years I would be able to do that. And I had a picture of a Southwestern style house on my vision board for probably 15 years. And it was a year after we bought our RV park there in Tucson. I found this incredible house. The market was really great. It was post-COVID and whatnot. I had a little bit of FOMO, but I analyzed my numbers correctly and got a fantastic deal on a gorgeous house that I almost couldn't afford, but I had been, in real estate for many years. And so I quickly pivoted into, the Airbnb space and made that work. And last year was the first time that we were able to leave for a couple of months and not work and just be there.
Yeah.
And it was an absolutely incredible feeling. I think my husband and I really didn't even know what to do with ourselves right away, because there was nothing to do. There was nothing to do but hang out. Hang out by the pool, ride our bikes, go hiking, and, help our family. And that's been incredible, spend time with his mom. I've been able to help my friends and family in the past couple of years in ways that I never thought that I could. Help them with money or help them with my time. That's amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I have older parents now, and I was able to leave my job, so to speak, in Denali and be here for a week, just doing what I choose to do, take naps, work out, go see my friends. It is like, what a luxury just to be able to spend my time how I want.
Yes.
I don't have a boss.
Yeah.
I'm the boss.
I don't need to spend my time. I don't need to have 100% unstructured time, because like you said, you melt a little bit. Like, hey, how many trails can I hike? How many, I can hike a lot of trails. We hiked for 3 months, right? And I really did struggle with like, what am I doing out here? What am I building? What am I accomplishing? I'm just walking every day. And I felt a little bit aimless, even though I had this goal, finish this trail and get to the end. And so I feel like I don't want 100% unstructured time. I do like to commit myself accountability wise to myself, other people, or to certain goals. So I'm hearing you say something kind of similar. You've got your properties, here you've got the RV parks, you've got different types of things that you're running. You have these developments here that you could pursue. It's like you're choosing to become accountable and structured, but it's by your choice rather than by necessity. Is that kind of what you're describing?
And I could see years ago that I had crafted a life, I think largely based on just like society's expectations of who we were supposed to be. I think I for a long time, I was a person filled with fear and anxiety, afraid of what people thought of me, afraid I wouldn't succeed, afraid of so many things. And I just had to put that all to bed. I had to start doing things that scared me. I had to start taking risks and, biting off maybe a little bit more than I could chew. I had to see what it was like to do something without other people's approval.
But I hear that a lot, especially from women who say life starts at 50 because you stop caring what other people think about you. Did you see any noticeable shift? Was it gradual, or you just get to the point where you're like, I actually don't care?
Yeah, I think I stopped caring maybe 5-6 years ago, but I think I lived probably most of my life really wanting other people's approval. And I think that just because of who I was and how I grew up, a lot of people doubted me. But it didn't take me seriously. I didn't grow up in a family that had a lot of money. I wasn't particularly successful, as a young woman, even though I was very, very smart. I just struggled a lot with, my own personal problems. I, was my own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Lots of failures, lots of poor decisions, lots of mistakes. You know what I mean? So I knew I wasn't taken seriously. So I didn't take myself, too seriously either. Lots of self-doubt, and it was always the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And then when I really started realizing that those people weren't any smarter than me, they just had the confidence to try.
Yeah. And that other people are not really watching that closely.
No, they don't care what I'm doing. They're more worried about
I know,
themselves.
we're talking about a podcast. We're going to put it on the internet, and people still don't care. It's like,
Yeah.
all the stuff there. And I think I came from a little bit different place because I don't really feel like I like made mistakes or bad choices. I was a very good kid. Like I either will follow the rules or I don't play the game. So I'm not in there like trying to bend or push boundaries or that's like, I'm either going to play or I'm not going to play. And when I play, I'm committed. I play it clean. I play it straight. And so in your, I don't know, probably my mid 30s, approaching 40, being like, I did everything that people told us to do. And this is it.
And this is the result.
This
I know,
is
me
the
too.
result. Yeah, exactly. So it was really disappointing to be like, this formula that everybody told me would work isn't working. Because I think it only works for like a generation. If you look at the way my grandfather's generation built wealth, it was like farms, their farmland and their business. And then my dad was like, well, I don't have a farm. I don't want a farm. So he bought this super cheap house, but then the houses were not the path to wealth the way that they were for our generation. And so my kids are facing that, like, I'm never going to be able to afford a home. And I'm like, I don't know where this is going to go. And I'm telling you, when my dad was buying his first house for $12,000, it was not the path to wealth that it was for me. And your child, this Gen Z child, your path to wealth is going to look different because my grandpa's look different than my dad. My dad had a pension. I have a 401k and housing. Like, and you're just going to have to figure out what your generation's path to wealth is. It's probably not homeownership in the same way that it was for us. Buy a home, live in it for 30 years, build wealth, sell it, downsize. Like, that doesn't seem like it works. And so I was following this formula that people older than me, like, hey, you know what? This is what worked for me. You should do this. But it doesn't really last. People figure it out. Now everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of people have a college degree at our age when it was so affordable. And they're like, my kids are like, I can't afford college. I can't afford a house. Like, well, you know what? Maybe college and homeownership is not the path to wealth for your generation. I just don't know what it is yet. So I feel like the result that I got was by being late to the game. And that had worked and it was no longer working. And I'm like, we got to figure out something different. It kind of reminds me of the Juno story where Joseph Juno was prospecting in other areas, but he was always late to the game. He'd show up in the gold rush when it was mostly over and he was never making any money. And then he shows up to here. It wasn't called Juno back then, but he shows up here and he was the first one on the game. And he was picking up gold out of the bottoms of creeks. Like, oh, wow. So to me, it's like his path was not wrong. Like, gold still meant wealth, but he was just too late to the game in the other gold rushes. And when he was finally the first one there, he was like, oh, he knew what to do. He knew how to survive. He knew what kind of investor backer he needed. He knew what to do with it. Like, because all that failed experience of trying and being too late to the game, he suddenly struck it early. And so I feel like that's what some of our kids are having to face and what we had to face. Like this, we're doing exactly what they said. I went to the gold rush. There's nothing left. It's more expensive to live here than the gold I'm pulling out of the ground. And I think that's what I was feeling. And I had to go find my own gold rush. And it wasn't in those instructions that our parents told us worked for them.
Yep. And I took other people's advice a lot longer than I should have. And I think you're really right in your assessment that the previous generation and the way that they told us to work and operate within this economy, it made sense for them at that time, but it wasn't what was right for us. And so thankfully, I very late too. I feel like I was a late bloomer. Decided to start trusting in myself, even if no one else believed in me, and set out on a different course. And it was very, very hard for a long time. And I was afraid that I was going to fail, and sometimes I did. But putting in that work all those years, all of a sudden one day the sky opened up and I could see what I had done. Like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I did it.
Yes.
I did it. And so the result of that too is that I've been able to share this out with other people in many different ways. I'm able to mentor younger investors and help them learn about investing. I have passive investors in my deals, and we pay them fabulous returns. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They can put their money into a deal. They get paid every quarter, and their equity is going to grow massively. And as the economy gets more difficult and things become more expensive, I think it's even more important for us to put our money in places where our money is going to work for us.
Yeah, and
because
when
we
the
all have
markets
just
are
a small amount of time to be here, and we better use that wisely. That's the greatest currency of all. It's the time that we have.
Yeah. And I find that experience that we're building as active investors is what we're in some kind of weird slow motion. Are we in a recession? Are we not? Like something's going on. I don't know if it's an actual recession with that data saying that we're not. I don't know. But my point is that things are getting lean, things are weird. And that's where experience really matters. And where passive investors are needing to look at, is this person still performing during the thin margins? And that experience that you're talking about allows us not only to serve our own families and our own goals, but there is something so amazing about helping other families get to this same point.
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes we're dealing with like well-off investors. And I'm like, you are so close. You are so close to financial freedom. You are so close to time freedom. It's like, let's just get things invested so you have passive streams of income, not just all active. And then you can go off and change the world. You can be an amazing grandparent. You can volunteer. You can start a nonprofit. You can start a business or keep working in your same fulfilling job that you're doing a great job at. They're so close. And I love, it's like you talked about mentoring younger investors. When someone's so bright and so motivated, and then you're like, this kid has all the things, and they're so close. I just need to set them in the right direction. I feel like that with my investors. I just need to say like, right there. And to me, that is really, really fulfilling to work with somebody who has so much potential. It's just a little like 1 degree off because it's so easy to click it into place.
Yeah, we're just one decision or one thought away from a completely new trajectory in our life.
Yep. True. And that 1 degree, it adds up to a lot over time.
Yep.
Locking into that. I tell my kids, it's like when you're down and you're hiking and you're looking at 2 different mountains from the same spot and you choose to climb the wrong mountain, you could get all the way up there and be like, what was that all for? Because all you had to do at that one, it was take a step this direction versus a step this direction, and you could have been up the right mountain. So choosing which mountain to climb is really, really important because the process is the same, one step after the other. And the question is are you going to get to the right destination at the end of it or not? Where are you going? I love being at this point of life, doing those things that you're talking about, just being able to impact other people because you're so excited about what's worked for you, but still open and adaptable to what's going to keep working versus what's not going to keep working.
And I think being an investor has helped me to become less self-oriented. When I was so focused on making ends meet, working those jobs, making that money, seeking that approval, it's all about me. How selfish is that? You know what I mean? And even if I don't take a lot of that money for myself, and I really actually don't. I spend most of my time kind of hiking around with my dogs, visiting with a few, people that I love, my family, working out. It's the opportunity to be a resource for another person. Going to the food pantry on Saturday mornings with my mother, being able to give a friend in need some money and not really care if they pay me back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a true gift.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And who would have thought all these years later that I would be able to help other people because I was such a needy person for so long.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it because if you're always on the receiving end of the equation, sometimes not being on that and being able to pay it forward and be that for somebody else, that's where true fulfillment comes from. And I guess maybe similar what you're describing, what I'm feeling is it's like I wanted things for my family that we missed out on, that I'm now able to help other families get hopefully a little younger than I was. Yeah, that's a good feeling. And investors get a lot of bad press for being greedy and selfish, but I've found it to be the opposite. Like the more you have, the more you want to spread the abundance. It's a win-win versus a win-lose.
Oh yeah, the more money I make, the more I give away. And I'm a job creator.
That's
I
true.
have like 14 employees, maybe more. So how can that not have a ripple effect? You know what I mean?
It's a big deal.
I think it's been interesting to receive the comments and the compliments that I have in the past couple of years, and to hear what people, how they see me now. Like, you're killing it, you're crushing it, you're doing so good. And I'm like, really? Because it felt really hard. And I'm really the same person, you know what I mean? And I guess if I had one message for those people, it'd be like, knowing where I came from, please understand that you can do this.
Yeah.
You can. And it's so rewarding. It's so amazing, you know?
Yeah. You just got to get your motivations and your reason why, like, really, really clear. Make sure you're climbing the right mountain.
Yep.
And then one foot in front of the other, and you'll make it. So.
Yep. And no amount of money in the world will bring anybody happiness.
Yeah. Well, we watched Cool Runnings the other night at the theater, like the little art theater that plays like old movies. And that spot where he was looking at it, he says, you know, if you're not enough without the gold medal, you'll never be enough with it. And my 13-year-old next to me, she goes, oh, that was good. That's exactly. And like those kind of messages that we like to pound in. You know, if you have the right motivation and you're climbing the right mountain, then you're going to be enough with it or without it. And
exactly.
Why not have it? If you're enough without it, then it's fun to have too. So that's the way I'm looking at it. It's an extension, not the whole purpose. And it buys a lot of things, not material things. It buys a lot of time and experiences and ability to do service. So wrap us up with where future Joanne is going, because you have your own passive income goal. Nobody wants to work until they die, or they don't want to have to work until they die. We all want to work until we die, but we want to have to work until we die. And so where do you see your own passive adventure going over the next 5 to 10 years?
Gosh, that's kind of scary because I'm getting older. I've really enjoyed the RV park space.
We've got an RV park and I don't.
Well, my husband's there right now and I'm not. But we have a fabulous staff. We have 9 people who work for us, so I don't really need to be there. But when I am, I get to contribute, you know, in different ways. Sometimes I just work there and people don't even know the owner.
That's the part I like about our RV space. We lived there for 6 months in our own RV, and they all knew we were the owner, but we were like renovating it, fixing it, and meeting people and getting to know people. Like that part is fantastic. I don't like the back end, like the bookkeeping and filing taxes, like all of that admin stuff. Like that's what I don't like. Well, that's what I don't like about any business. It's the forward-facing, front-facing stuff, like that part that I love.
Absolutely.
So, same for you? Or
oh yeah, I get to help people, you know, have fun on their vacation. I get to tell them about Alaska. I love that.
Yes,
it's so fun.
So fun. It is really rewarding to say family is the most important thing to me, and building family memories. And here I am in Alaska helping other families build their own once in a lifetime family memories. They're not going to remember me per se, but they're going to remember this experience that I got to be part of crafting. Because if I say I'm about families bonding and spending more time together, like I feel like this is putting that into action in a kind of indirect way, instead of helping them to invest passively, because we still do that. But I have this addition now where I can actually teach about Juno and the history of Alaska and helping them enjoy their family vacation. Like that like moves me. Like it gets to me. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying.
And just the personal reward in knowing that people trust me. You know, we had, you know, several investors come into this deal who are first-time investors, and they do have money. These people are not, you know, unsuccessful people financially at all, but trusting us with their money. And the greatest part is that I'll pay them twice as much as their retirement money. Hands down. Yes, I love writing those checks.
That's true. Because if that's what we're talking about, like helping families really like kind of bust to the next level of time freedom and doing good in the world. Man, those checks are the funnest checks to write.
Yeah.
Paychecks and distribution checks.
Yes.
Like, I love those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I could, you know, I could buy that Forerunner now. I could write a check for it, but I don't need it anymore. I don't need it. I need my time, and I need time with my family, and time with my friends. and time for myself, real, authentic time for myself. I'm going to go on a hike afterwards. Up Spalding when we're done here, and be by myself and practice my mindset, you know, and that's amazing. It's amazing to actually have the time to pour into myself and to be of service to others. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I mean, just look at even this experience that you and I are having this summer where us coming to Alaska for 6 months and working on an interesting project, like to me, that in ways like that's baller. You know what I mean? It's like we had the time to come up and we didn't need to worry about, because we're making less here than we could make on a real estate project, but we were a little burned out and we needed a break.
Yeah.
And we needed an opportunity to come and do something really cool with our kids. Like this is an experience for us and for them. Like we've done so much stuff and just something so different and interesting. And I feel like that's what this stuff is all about. It's just being able to say, like, you know, what do you want to do? My kids have been asking to go to Alaska for years, and logistically it's kind of difficult with housing shortages and getting a car here, ferries and all that.
Oh yeah.
So logistics have been kind of hard, and it took us a long time to get here to figure it out. And we finally did, and we're having a ball while we're also helping other families through the investments and through just the guiding out. Goodness, it's like this is what it's all about. So how long do you plan on keeping your active real estate investments? Do you ever plan on going completely 100% passive income? Because your pay your bills money is passive, but then your active income, do you think you'll be someone who was like, I always have to have a purpose and I'll probably make money until I die? Or at a certain point, you're like, I'd like to just spend more time like with philanthropy, giving back, volunteering. Like where is that going for you from a business standpoint?
Well, there's a quote, and it comes from the recovery community, but it really resonates with me as it relates to real estate. You can't keep what you have unless you give it away.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And I didn't think for a long time that I had much to talk about because I didn't have 1,500 units, and I would go to these networking events. Everyone looked so sophisticated, right? I'm coming from Alaska, and I could certainly dress nice, but a little bit awkward, and I didn't drink. So I felt very out of place when I would try to socialize with these people. And what I didn't know is I had done so many things they hadn't. I'd been an operator for so many years, you know, very good operator, really understood the numbers. I could, you know, take over property and run it and make it produce cash like nobody else. And that's because I had to start with my tiny little dollars and do it on my own. I'm a very savvy operator. So
just learning your strengths and learning what you're able to contribute rather than looking at where you can't contribute.
Yeah.
Because there are all ways that we can't contribute.
Yeah.
But if we
and sharing that out with other people and teaching young people that they can do it too is absolutely everything.
Yeah. I can see that. We spent a lot of time volunteering over the last couple of years since we kind of quit the job, and it was no replacement for a business. I think that I probably always will have some straddling of those, unless I get like really, really old. Like if I live past 100, maybe we can have a different conversation. But over the next 20 years, for sure, I think it'll be some aspect of philanthropy and that is supported by the passive income, and then some sort of a entrepreneurial or interesting job. Because I do enjoy that side of things. They're very different. So yeah,
I see myself doing the same thing. You know, my mom is 83 years old and she works 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week for Catholic Community Services and volunteers, all these things. I want to be like that.
Yes.
I want to be like
that. Yeah. Oh, let's just wrap it there.
Oh, yeah.
Usually, you know, finding a good role model that we really look up to and just emulating that person and hoping that we can then become that for somebody behind us. So thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. If you'd like to invest with Joanne, she's going to tell you how to get in touch with her.
Yeah, sounds good.
How do people find you after the show?
Let's see. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. People can shoot me a message anytime, reach out.
All right.
Happy to connect.
Yep. And we'll have her information more in the show notes as well. And you can always reach out to me and investwithemma.com if you want to get in touch with me or any of my guests. Investwithemma.com is my call calendar. So I'd love to have a chat with you and I can connect you with any of the guests that you've seen on the show. I think we're almost at 200 episodes. So a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And I'm happy to be the connector like that. It brings me a true joy putting this content out there and watching people do deals together, whether I'm involved in it or not. Just it's like introducing two people who end up getting married and you're like, oh, at the wedding, like I introduced them, right? So that I love that feeling. So happy to help you out no matter what it is that you're looking for. Just reach out and we'll see if we can't get you steered in the right direction. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week with another episode of Passive Income Adventures.
Thanks for listening. Hope to hear from you. Have a good day.